Okay, so whilst I'm stuck in traffic, I might as well do a video, I guess. I'm trying to hit at least one video a week, and if I do have the time, I'll try and get 2 up. I'm hopefully going to be filming this weekend. Got a few friends I'm going to be meeting with, and hopefully taking the Golf out and giving a review on that. Maybe doing a quick versus the Audi S3. So I've been trying to think of topics to talk about on the way home, and I'm sort of grasping at straws now, running out of ideas. So any ideas, please leave them in the comments, and if they're good enough, I'll get a video out on them. One of the things I want to talk about in this video though is why I chose the Audi S3 over, let's say, another Golf R, the BMW M140, BMW M240, the Ford Focus RS. Why did I choose the Audi S3 over those cars? First of all, the Golf R that I have at the moment is on a lease deal. It was 2 years ago when the lease deals were coming out, and I mean, you could get the Golf R for really cheap money. And at that time, I was looking for a Scirocco 2-litre TSI, and I was seeing a Golf R for lease for less money. So I thought it'd be stupid not to do that. So I had the Golf R for 2 years, and as the end date was creeping up, I was thinking, well, what car am I going to go for? Because as a second car, coming straight from a 1.2 Polo, the Golf R was quite a jump. And to be honest, the Golf R really is one of the best hot hatches you could own at the moment. When it came to choosing what car I was going to go for next, that was a pretty big struggle. Was I going to go for another Golf R, or was I going to branch out and go for something else? At the moment, when I was looking, the 7.5 wasn't out, so that wasn't an option. But what was an option was to either go and buy a Golf R, so this time PCP, or finance a Golf R and take that under. But then I was thinking, do I really want another Golf for another 3 years? I've already had it for 2 years, so I want it for another 3. And to be honest, I like a bit of change. I get bored quite easily. So I was looking for cars, and the M240 cropped up. I can't remember exactly what pointed me towards the M240, but the M240 popped up, and I test drove one and I loved it. It was definitely, it felt a hell of a lot quicker, and it felt a little bit more playful as well. I took it out for a test drive and already had the back end out on dry roads in the summer, so that was definitely, you know, a fun toy to play with. And I was thinking, yeah, I'm 100% going to go and get an M240i. I was even looking at car parts, getting ready to buy them and order them in for when I was going to order the M240. I wasn't going to purchase anything until December, and I let the salesman know that. I said, not purchasing anything until December, so I can make my mind up and decide what I want. With the M240 came the M140, a hatchback, and also considerably cheaper. There was a lot of deals out for financing an M140, which made it a pretty viable option. You know, you could pick up an M140 nearly fully specced for under £300 a month, and with a little deposit. I think I was looking at about £3,000 deposit, nearly fully specced, and at the time I was looking at under £300 a month. The only thing that drew me from the 140 was the looks. I wasn't too much of a fan of the looks, so that sort of pulled me away from it. But the 3-litre 6-cylinder engine, that's what drew me to it, and especially for that price. So I was bouncing between the M240, the M140, and trying to decide, well, which one do I want to go for, which one do I want to buy. And like I say, I was pretty much set on going BMW. I'd already spoke to the salesman multiple times, I'd spec'd it up in the configurator multiple times, and I wasn't really looking for anything else. I wasn't looking at the Focus RS, not too much of a fan of the Ford interiors. Nothing against them, I just think they're a bit too cheap looking. So yeah, I was basically deciding between what do I want, the M240 or the M140, and trying to decide, well, which one, trying to decide where do I go from there. Like I say, the M240 was a lot more expensive. I was looking at around about just under £400 a month, so nearly what I'm paying on this. The M140 for basically the same car, just in a hatchback, was under £300, which is an absolute steal. The thing with the M140, as I mentioned, was the looks. Wasn't too much of a fan of them. The M240 looked fantastic. M5. Now that I would choose. I wasn't just looking at new cars like the M140 and the M240, I was also looking at older cars. I was looking at the Audi RS4. The Saloon or the Avant, wasn't too bothered either which one. I did have a soft spot for the Avant, but yeah, looking into that though, because of the V8 and naturally aspirated, and due to the age and what the car was like, it turned out that it would probably cost me more money than anything in the long run, just with regards to servicing, running the car, especially running the car. Apparently it drank petrol like absolutely God knows what. And to be honest, it was financing, it was coming out to be more than a brand new M140 and near enough the same price as a 240. I mean, yes, you do get that V8, but am I going to be able to run it for 3 years and use it as a daily driver? Probably not. I was looking at the V8 M3, the one before they brought out the turbo, just because that was more in a price bracket that I could afford in the 30 grand range, and looking at financing one of those. Again though, it came to the whole, would I be able to run it and would I be able to afford any sort of maintenance on the car if anything did break due to its age and due to the sort of spec of the car. And it was coming in the same realm as the RS4, and I decided against it. The S3 itself, like I say, wasn't even on my mind. I wasn't even decided to get one. When I had the Golf R, I went into the Audi showroom and I had a look at the S3 and it didn't blow my mind. But that was the pre-facelift. It wasn't until I was taken to a showroom with a friend where he said, look at the new one, look at the facelift, it looks completely different, looks a lot more aggressive, looks a lot more like the RS3. And I went inside the showroom, yeah, I was sold on it from the get-go basically. I was sort of drawn to that on the looks of the Audi S3 and thinking, well, it looks similar to an Audi RS3, you know, especially with the rear diffuser looking a lot more aggressive. The Audi S3 interior sort of blew the BMW M240 interior out the water. Not so much blew out the water, but I did like the feel of the interior of the Audi S3 a lot more, with it being a little bit more advanced in the tech department. I could spec the virtual cockpit, I could spec the advanced MMI system with the advanced tech pack, and yeah, I seem to enjoy it a little bit more than BMW. BMW seemed to be a little bit more basic. Whilst it was nice with the leathers and the soft plastics, I wasn't too much of a fan of the dash itself with the orange dials. That light doesn't really do much for me. I'm much more drawn to the sort of white lights that you see. The orange dials sort of make it feel like a bit of an older car, and I was sort of never really happy with that. But when I saw the Audi, I sort of wanted it as soon as I saw it. BMW, I sort of had to force my way into it. Another positive about getting the Audi S3 was that it shared the VW Golf R platform. It shared the all-wheel drive system, and shared a lot of the driving characteristics of it, same engine. So what I was really getting is getting a new Golf R, just with a different look, a different shape at the end of the day. And that's what I've always been trying to find, is something to top the Golf R. And whilst the Golf R is sort of at the top of its class, the only other thing you can do is get another one. I didn't want to get another one, so getting the Audi S3 is a nice compromise. Getting the same sort of platform, whilst it might not be more of a driver's car like the Golf R is, it's still a nice place to sit, and the power's there when you want it. You know, it's a hot hatch, it's a hot hatch. It's quick enough, you know, does the job. The tuning capabilities are also there for it. BMW is sort of limited in tuning and what you can do, but there seems to be a lot more tuning possibilities for the VAG community. So from there, I was sort of drawn into the Audi S3. I wasn't really looking at the 240, wasn't really looking at the M140i anymore. I organised a test drive with the Audi S3, knew what it was going to be like. It was going to be very similar to the Golf R. The only difference is this time I went S-tronic. Golf R was manual, and I always said if I was going to go for a Golf R again, it would be the DSG. So the Audi S3, when I was ordering it, it had to be S-tronic. You know, I wasn't going to take manual, it had to be S-tronic. So I went for a test drive. As mentioned, I knew what it was going to be like, except I'd never drove S-tronic before. It's easy enough, nothing too difficult. If you know how to drive a manual, you know how to drive an S-tronic. And yeah, it was everything I expected. So I looked at my finances, bargained with the salesman for a little bit, got the prices down as they were quoting me over £400 a month for it at the start, bargained it down to about 375, and yeah, straight away ordered the car probably a couple of weeks later when December came by. Got the car March, 1st of March, and that's when I wanted to pick it up, 1st of March. There are some things I wish I did change in hindsight. The colour, I probably would have went for yellow. Something that you don't see on the road every day, and something that would make people turn their heads. Probably would go with yellow. The possibilities of a 5-door. I might have went back to a 5-door. The Golf was a 5-door and a lot more practical, I tell you now. I do go out with mates every now and then. Not every time, but every now and then I do go out with mates, and getting in and out of the car is a pain in the arse. You know, having to get out of the car, roll the seat forward, roll the seat back, having them whinge about there's no space in the back seats, you know? Yeah. We will be doing a video on the Golf R versus the Audi S3, and I can guarantee when it comes to the practicality subject of the cars, the VW Golf R is going to win, simply because it's 5-door. My mates will complain about the Audi S3 being a 3-door. But hey, other than that, I don't think I would change too much. There's nothing else I'd really spec extra onto the car, you know, other than the paint and maybe going 5-door. That's about it. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the Audi S3, pretty happy with my choice. And that's really why I chose the Audi S3 over them all. It was never, like I say, it was never on my mind until I was taken to go see it. So if you are looking to get an Audi S3 and you're sort of in the same boat where I was, where I didn't know which car I wanted next, am I going to go for the 240, the 140, the RS, am I going to go for a Golf R, am I going to go for the Audi S3? Go and see all the cars. I had a test drive in the M240i, I had a test drive in the Audi S3, I'd already driven the Golf R, so I didn't need to drive that. And like I say, I didn't want to go for a Golf R for another 3 years. There's the 235 at the moment. Yeah, my mate in the 235 has just driven past there. Going back to the M240 and the M140, another reason why I didn't choose those cars, I'd probably wrap it around a tree or something like that. With it being rear wheel drive and with it having 335 brake horsepower to the rear wheels, and driving in a country where it's wet 90% of the time, you can't use the full power. And I was thinking, well, am I going to get as much enjoyment out of it? Whilst it's dry, yeah, I can fully understand that I'm going to enjoy it as much as possible, you know, with it being dry and rear wheel drive. But when it's wet, I'm always going to be sort of worried about, am I going to overpower the car, and is it going to spin out, am I going to wrap it around a tree? Yeah, so the all-wheel drive system of the Audi S3 sort of won in that respect. One bug that I do have about the Audi S3 is the creaking window, and apparently it's to do with the 3-door. The 3 doors have had these problems that when it's wet outside and they go over potholes or go over rough roads, which you do all the time in Britain, the window itself creaks. I don't know if you can hear it at the moment, but every now and then it's creaking when I'm going over there. Now, they say to put gummy pledge on it, and I did that. It did fix the problem, but it seems to have only lasted a month. So if you are looking for an Audi S3 and you're looking for a 3-door, be aware that this is a common fault, the creaking window. I'm going to have to put some gummy pledge on that, because that will do my head in. If you wind the window down, you don't get the problem anymore. It apparently rattles inside of the door frame. So again, back on high street, so dynamic mode, manual mode, and the standard exhaust noises. That's another drive home filmed. If you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, let me know what you'd like to see next, because I'm sort of running out of ideas. And I'll see you again later.